Good day all, I am Victoria Enebeli, and today I'm going to be building more on Solidity. So basically we're going to be doing something very simple. We're going to be creating a wallet using Solidity. So without further ado, let's dive straight in. So I'm going to be sharing my screen right now. Yeah. So yeah, for this for the wallet, we're going to be using the Remix IDE. So all you need to do is just to type Remix in your browser and wait for it to open. Wait for it to open. So you have this. So basically, you have to create a file. I already have my file name here, wallet.so, which I created. So yeah, so let's start coding right away. So first of all, before we start building our wallet, we have to indicate our license comment line. So which is the SPDX, yeah, license identifier. Pardon my errors. MIT. So the next line has to be your pragma solidity, right? Here you declare your compiler version. So for this wallet that we're building, we're going to be using this compiler version. And then terminate it with a semicolon. Yeah. So after this, the first thing you do, you have to declare your contract, right? So this our contract will be called wallets. Very simple name. Just as the name implies, we're creating a wallet. So wallet. So for this wallet, it's going to be like a normal wallet. So we expect that a normal wallet should be able to receive money, right? Should be able to receive money. Should be able to send money. Should be able to store money. In this case, Ether. So I'll create this. So you should be able to send Ether, receive Ether, store Ether, and of course you should be able to withdraw to. So something like something very, very cool, right? So you should be able to withdraw your Ether too. Yeah. So that is it. And then for this wallet, we would like events to be emitted for each of these activities. So we're going to create an event for 3 of these: receiving Ether, sending Ether, and withdrawing Ether. Basically, storing Ether is just like receiving Ether. Once you receive it, it gets stored, right? So let's create an event. So use the events keyword to create events. So let's create event deposits for receiving Ether. Event deposits. This event, of course, takes in address, considers the address. And then, of course, the amount. So you int amount, right? So I like this underscore convention. It's not a must. It depends on what you want to do, but it's something most developers do. It's a popular convention, right? So terminate with a semicolon. Terminate every line of code in Solidity with a semicolon. So we create under events for send, because this also considers the address. And then the amount, right? Then we terminate with a semicolon. And then the last event for withdraw. So of course, the address too. Yeah. And then the amount. After we are withdrawing, should consider the address and amount, right? So this is it for our events. So now, before we start building our functions for the send, receive, and withdraw iter, we have to use a modifier so that our function can run properly. So for example, let's say the send function, want to use a modifier to ensure that you're not trying to send money you don't have, right? So if you're trying to send 5 ETH, it should be that you at least have more than 5 ETH or up to 5 ETH in your account to be able to send that 5 ETH. If we don't use a modifier to check this, then people will end up sending audio money. You'll be able to send 10 ETH when you have only 5 ETH, which is very, very bad. So we're going to be making use of a modifier. Yeah, a modifier. Comments are very important. It helps people understand your code, right? So for you to declare a modifier, use the modifier keyword. Use the modifier keyword. So let's name this modifier something very, very logical. Let's say as enough. So we want to ensure that the person has enough in his account. So this modifier would consider the address, yeah, which is very normal. And then of course, the amount, right? So yeah, so let's type in some code in our modifier. So definitely for you to type in any code, you have to use the curly brace first. Enter. So we want to require that. So the require is just like an if-else statement. So we want to require that that the balances of each account, the balances of, so this basically, these balances here, it's actually a mapping. I'm going to create the mapping after now. So requires that the balance of an address be greater than or equal to the amount you want to send, transfer, you want to send, withdraw, you want to send or withdraw, yeah. Because basically you can deposit any amount. So you want to send or withdraw. So if this does not work, if it does not meet this requirement, then it should print out an error message saying insufficient funds. Get rich. That's not necessary. We don't want to be rude. So insufficient funds, right? So that is this for our modifier. And then if you check here, I'm sure it's giving us an error. Expected. Okay. So yeah, like I said, you have to terminate every line of code in Solidity with the semicolon. So what other error are we having here? It says modifier does not contain underscore. Yeah, so basically your modifier has to, you have to end your modifier with this underscore and then a semicolon. Very important. And then I'm sure the last error should be balances does not exist, undeclared identifier. So like I said, I'll be creating the mapping now, the mapping called balances. So we stop having that error. So mapping called so mapping code balances. So for you to create a mapping, you use the mapping keyword, of course, mapping keyword, and then this mapping maps the address of an account. It maps the address to a uint value, which is, of course, the address to amount. And then want this our mapping to be a public one. And then we save the name as balances. Yeah. So terminate, of course, with a semicolon. And that is it for our mapping. So there's nothing like typing code inside mapping. So it's just that that's for this. So now, since we have our events, we have a modifier, and then we have mapping, which of course we use in the modifier. We want to start creating our function right away. So we're going to start with the receive function first. So we're going to be using the receive function. We want this function to be external, and once it's payable, yeah, it has to be payable to be able to receive eta, of course. So yeah, so for you to be able to receive eta, want it to be that once you receive eta, yeah, your balances increase, the balance of your account increases, right? So we use balances, which is our mapping, to increase the value of message or sender. So message or sender will plus equal to message dot value terminate to semicolon, and then want to emit the event we created, deposits. Right? Terminate with a semicolon. So we are doing fine, no errors. So that is it for our receive function. So I love adding comments. Comments are actually cool. It helps people understand your code better. So this is the receive function for eta. So now let's go ahead and create our send function. So we use the function keyword. So yeah, the send function. I'm always forgetting my C. That's okay. So the send function, use the function keyword, of course, and then we give it send. Of course, the address of the receiver, the address of the receiver, the address of the receiver, and then of course the amount you want to send. The amount you want to send. So we want this function to be external, and then want to use our modifier here so that you don't get to send money you don't have. So to use the modifier, you just have to call the modifier here. So as enough, and then you put in the parameters msg.sender, and of course the amount. So yeah, let's type in some code there. So we have an error. It says identifier already declared, check line 13. Okay, so what's happening? Line 13 has event called send. So this our send should be something else. Let's make the send capital S. So you see Solidity is case sensitive, right? So let's type in some code here for our send function. So when you're sending money, it's especially when you send money, the money leaves your account, right? So if you have 10 ETH and you send 5 ETH, at least your balance should reduce to 5 ETH, and then the receiver's balance should increase. So yeah, let's increase this function should be able to increase the receiver's account balance. So plus equal to, because every receiver has 0 balance, so it should be plus equal to underscore amount, yeah, terminates to semicolon. And then you that is sending money, your own should reduce to, right? So message your sender should have a reduction in his or her account. So minus equal to underscore amount, right? That should work. Yeah. So we want to emit our events, emit send. The events we created, remember we created events for each of these activities. So we want to emit the send events here. Then terminate to with a semicolon. So cool, no errors, we're good to go. So that is our send function for you. So what next? Let's create our last function, which is the withdraw function. So we want to be able to withdraw ITA. Oh, it won't be the last though, because I have two other functions in mind. So we want to be able to withdraw ITA. So we use the function keyword first. I'll call it withdraw. So remember, we already have an event called withdraw here. So, and since Fidelity is case sensitive, let's make this capital letter withdraw. So Fidelity spots the difference. So function withdraw, of course, you're withdrawing. So we just consider only the amount you're withdrawing, right? So let's make this function external, and then of course, we don't want you to be able to withdraw money you don't have, right? It will be too bad for you to be able to withdraw 10 ETH when you only have 5 ETH. So that brings our modifier in place. So we'll call our modifier again here to help us check. Does this person have enough money to withdraw? Person does not have, then tell the person insufficient funds. So we have our message that sender, comma underscore amount, yeah. And then let's type in some code here, withdraw function. So first of all, we have to make the senders, we have to make sure that once you withdraw, the money gets deducted from your account. So we have balances, MSG.sender, your money has to reduce when you withdraw, but you cannot be withdrawing money and then your balance will still be the same. That would not be fair. Yeah, so underscore amount, right? So terminate semicolon as usual. So now we have to make the address variable. We want to withdraw, we have to make the address variable. So let's cast it. Let's make it payable. So address payable. Mind my errors. Address payable. Want to make address payable underscore receiver to make it payable. Yeah, so this should work. So basically there are different so withdrawing money is just like transferring money, right? And withdrawing the money, so the money has to be like, that's to move. So just like transferring the money. So there are different methods you can use. About 3 methods, but we're going to be using the .com method. So let's use the .com method. We have bool, send. So the bool is normally true or false, right? The default value is false. So let's say bool false, bool send. Then we want to use the .call method receiver receiver.call. We have our curly brace value, this underscore amount, yeah. And then we have a space for our data. So by here, I don't want to put in any data, right? So this should work. And there should be a comma here to avoid errors, right? So yeah. So now I want to come down here and use a require statement. So want to know if the money was sent successfully, then we want to get a message, right? So want to require that. Want to require if sent is true. Want to require that if sent is true, then cool, you can withdraw your money. But if sent is false, then want it to send them to tell us it's it's not sent. It's not sent. Yeah, this makes sense. So it's not sent. Yeah, and then of course the semicolon is very important. And then we want to emit our event for withdrawal. Okay, sorry, you don't use the event keyword when emitting, so you just emit and call your withdrawal your event name. Okay, so I have an error here. What's the error message? Expected comma but got string literal. Sense. Okay, yeah, so expected comma. It should be a comma here. Okay, so what other error? It says undeclared identifier. Did you mean underscore receiver? Yeah, it should be underscore receiver. So underscore receiver. Okay, so my problem came from spelling receiver wrongly. So we're good to go. So this is about withdraw function. So let's create an extra function where we can get balance of an account. In this case, address. And then on that function, we can get the balance of all right. So yeah. So want to add two functions, want to get the balance of an address and want to get the balance of the contract. So yeah. So get balance of an address. So we use the function keyword as usual. So let's name this function get balance. So this get balance considers, of course, the address. I want to make this function external and view because it views the balance from the balance mapping. So external, and of course it's a view function. So let's type in it returns something, right? Because we're getting the balance, it has to return the value of the account. So returns the amount, which should be a uint. Yeah. So we simply just return balances, the balance of the address. And then we terminate with a semicolon, right? So we're good to go. And then let's create the last function that says get contract balance. Get contract balance, yeah. So get contract balance, enter. Use the function keyword. Let's name this get contract balance. To get contract balance, we're going to make this external to get contract balance. This doesn't take in anything. We're going to make this external. We're going to make it view. Of course, it's a view function. And we're going to ask it, of course, to return something. So it returns a uint value. Yeah. Let's get some code in there. So it just returns address. Use the this address this dot balance, and we are good to go. So we have an error there. Let's check the error. It says expected primary expression returns. Sorry, it should be return, not returns. So yeah, we're good to go. It is compiled already without errors. From here, we can deploy our contract. Once it is deployed, we have our interface to interact with. We have the send button, the withdraw function, balances, which is the mapping, get balance, get contract balance. We can, let's say, want to send 10 ether to this contract, click 10 there, transact, get the balance, becomes 10, right? Let's say we send another one. Sorry, it says 10 ether, transact, get the balance has increased. Yeah. So I sent way before. So let's continue with way. Let's say we send another way, 10 way, transact, get contract balance increases. And then automatically, of course, you can also play around with send, withdraw balances, and get balance. So the best way to learn Solidity is practice. So I advise you replicate this code on your own and then play with this interface. Thank you very, very much. Enebeli Victoria again. I hope this went a long way in helping you understand Solidity further. Thank you so much for listening to the end.